Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello again, St. Lucia, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. I am Philip Sidney, your host. Today we are discussing hurricane preparation to minimize damages on farms. That is not new. I think every farmer knows what to do in preparing for a hurricane. But it is our duty in the ministry to ensure that we still remind you of what you should do. Sometimes you forget. Agriculture is a business. There's money involved, and you need to protect your investment. So today with me to discuss this is the engineering unit. I have three gentlemen here with me. Mr. Kwesi Goddard, who is an engineer, and he is the officer in charge of that unit. We have Joel Ramin, who is also attached to that unit, and of course my good friend Quint Odlum, who is an old head in the ministry, and of course he is here to share his views. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you. Thank you much.
Quint, well, God, I'll start with you because we, as head, we need to know, people out there need to know, what is the function of the engineering unit?
Well, the Agricultural Engineering Services Division is a unit that is primarily responsible for looking at interventions dealing with soil conservation and drainage, agricultural water management, and farm power through, we fundamentally deal with a tractor hire scheme. Normally the agricultural engineering is also concerned with, you could say, preventive measures. That's why when you start a building or you start a farm or any process you start, you normally contact an engineer or technical officer, agricultural officer, to assist you with planning ahead. So you actually consider these issues that we're going to speak about in the initial stages of your farm, from how you place your farm, so that in the longer run, I mean, we're talking about disaster preparedness today. Disaster preparedness is not something that we should recommend doing last minute.
True.
It should be something that we should be thinking of from the onset of our operation. So in our unit, we really dabble in a lot of different technologies. In all these areas, we look at appropriate technologies in each of the areas which fit our population and our farmers, to assist them with improving the efficiency of how they operate on their farm, improving the efficiency of water use and land use, and labor use, energy use on farms.
Okay, so with that in mind, okay, let's move on to the nitty-gritty in terms of how do you tell a farmer to prepare himself with the oncoming hurricanes? Because I know it starts in June. The hurricane season starts in June, and so I was told in December. So right now we are in the preparatory stages to ensure the farmer knows exactly what to do. So what is expected of the farmer? Joel, from your end, what do you think?
Well, from my end, I guess I can speak about aquaponics, because under the Agricultural Engineering Services Division, we also do aquaponics, we do hydroponics, we do water management, we do GIS and mapping, and we also do biogas digesters. We help in the design and give technical advice for greenhouse or protective structures. So I will just dabble into the aquaponics aspect. Right, so aquaponics is basically the incorporation of, for those who don't know, fish and plants. Right, so the plants get nutrients from the fish. So for preparedness in the aquaponics stage, let's say you have a smaller, because a lot of people have small aquaponics systems in their backyard, and some farmers have larger systems. Now, like Mr. Sidney said, when you prepare for disaster preparedness, and Kwesi also mentioned that it's supposed to be done in the initial stages. So if you're a large farmer, aquaponics farmer, you would think of disaster preparedness from the onslaught, right? So things like the structural stability of your system. You think of how you should make them strong enough to withstand certain types of category wind, things like backup for your systems. This system operates on pumps, right? So you need water pumps, you need air pumps. So without the water pumps, the water will not circulate. So during there might be a disaster where there might be a electrical outage. So these kind of things being a possibility, you have to think of, okay, so if I'm out of electricity for a day or two, how would my fish manage or be stay alive within that stage? So things you might do is if you have, like let's say you have a heavy stocking ratio, so that means you have a lot of fish in a small area, let's say a 200-gallon tank. That's usually the size of the average aquaponic fish tanks. So if let's say you have 100 fish and maybe there might be an electrical outage, what you would do is that you would actually separate the fish and put them into smaller containers so that they will use up less oxygen. Because the main thing is that when there is no electricity, maybe for a day, they may not have enough oxygen in the water. So what you would do, you would just move some of the fish and put them in separate containers so they will use less oxygen from the water. And also another suggestion would be rotating your water. So if the water supply doesn't come back the same day, maybe you can empty out the majority of the tank and fill it with fresh oxygenated water.
Yes.
Right, yeah. So that's an example of what you can do from the aquaponics standpoint. We also do GIS and mapping, not government information service, but actually, geographical information systems. So for farmers who have large farms, right, it's a good idea for you to get your farm mapped. So you will know the size of your farm, the acreage, you will know where your boundaries are at. You will know what type of crops you are growing and the different parts of your farm. So if there is a disaster and you lose a certain amount of crops, right, you don't need, and you have to give a report maybe for insurance purposes. You wouldn't depend on maybe last minute to hire a private person or the ministry to come and give you an assessment. But if you come to engineering, let's say on a random day, you tell them, well, I have this farm in that area, and I really need to know, just have an aerial photo of where my farm is at right now in this stage of production, just before the hurricane season begins, because you're saying to yourself, what if something happens, right? So you need to know, okay, calculate how much money you would have made, so you would have all these things documented, just for the worst case scenarios, right? So
Great. So, Quint, on the other hand, okay, you're moving into other structures. The farmer has established his greenhouses, okay? You have the hoop greenhouses, you have the conventional greenhouses. What would you advise a greenhouse farmer to do prior to a hurricane coming in?
Okay, for the greenhouse farmers, one of the main things they would have to do is remove the plastic.
Okay.
Right, the plastic serves as a barrier for the wind. If there is no plastic, there is less contact for the wind and there's less of a structure for the wind to destroy.
All right.
So the greenhouse farmers, it's something that should be established by whoever is supplying the greenhouse to them. It's common practice that come the hurricane season or come the advice of a hurricane, you should remove the plastic on your greenhouses.
Okay.
We say greenhouses, but a lot of them are protected structures.
Shade houses.
Shade houses, yeah. Greenhouse is a specific structure. Yeah, but for the protected structures, the shade houses, due to the way they're designed, most times it is not that difficult to remove the plastic.
All right.
So we advise the farmers to go ahead and remove the plastic.
Okay.
To add to your earlier question about aspects of engineering, engineering came about to provide the engineering services of agriculture to the other departments and to the farmers. So we provide services to the fisheries department. We are the ones who actually design and build fish ponds, right? We provide services to the extension unit in terms of irrigation, in terms of land preparation, drainage, that kind of stuff. And we also provide services to the vet unit in terms of the design of pig pens and the construction of biogas digesters.
Okay.
So in terms of the pig pens and the fowl coops, there's nothing much you could do with them.
True.
it's a matter of designing them from the beginning
That's right.
to withstand these conditions. But after they have been constructed, sorry, there's not much you could do. That's why it's kind of important that you get the right information before you go ahead and construct.
Great.
Right? A lot of farmers, sorry, they lose their pens simply because of the design and location.
Great.
Yes, because you know you have some of this infrastructure that we're dealing with. Some of them being constructed because you know you have a lot of people have skills. They can build, they can do masonry, they can do all this. But you build something in an area where it's at the bottom of a hill, on the side of a hill, and you have excess runoff at any one time. So in terms of preserving the structural integrity of these things, so that during a major event you do have swelling of the walls, cracking, you know, structural integrity being damaged. In terms of even just maintaining the hygiene, because you know during these times you have high humidity, so these things can propagate fungus and all of these things that cause diseases in animals. You know, so even during that time we talk about structures, we talk about what we do on the land, we talk about preserving, doing things in the initial, like putting the contour drains, trying to reduce runoff so that you can reduce that incidence of probably landslides or floods, because you know in a hurricane or major storm event, what we have a major incidence of rains, high winds, high relative humidity, and all of that. And the main thing farmers are concerned about is their stock, whether it's plants or the animals. You know, I mean, in St. Lucia, we're very poor in storage. So, for example, something is happening and the farmer will run and collect all his watermelon in the field prematurely to try to store it. He might not have the storage conditions, right? So all that is a consideration: the storage of your inputs, the storage of your outputs, the protection of your machinery, your equipment as well. You know, because these things, for example, in Maki, almost every other year we get like a flood down there in Maki, and the flood is like, I wanted to say a sea.
It's true.
Because one day we were passing through Maki and we actually saw that flood, and I got scared. We had to turn back and pass through bogies.
Wow.
The amount of water that was going down through there, somebody could have lost their life there. Far less for the sheep and the livestock you have that extensive. So in terms of preserving structural integrity, preserving your inputs, because you know the cost of inputs now are rising. You know, so in terms of even preventing a further shortage in food, because you know we always have these things after a major event.
Let me just add to that. I just wanted to remind the farmers from an irrigation standpoint. I don't think we touched on that, but since we were speaking about equipment, preserving your equipment, a lot of farmers, you know, they abstract water from low-lying areas, and the pump is located almost in the river line. Yeah, on the river line. The river line, right. Yes. Now, some farmers also, it's a hassle for them to carry the pump every day. So some farmers actually build a little structure, you know, to prevent thieves from taking it away. But then you have to remember that if you there is a notice of a strong storm or hurricane, it might just be a little depression or heavy rains, right? The same way fishermen are alerted of, you know, bring their boats in, right? The farmers have to be vigilant so that they can remove their all their equipment from the pipes, right? From the suction pipes, from the pumps, and also from the irrigation standpoint, from drip lines and sprinklers. Right. So you can save yourself a lot of hassle, because after a storm, after a flood, like Chrissy mentioned in Maki, you have to be going and dig and hunt. Everything is lost. Yes. You have to try and go and hunt for, you know, a sprinkler head. You have to hunt for a drip line.
I know.
Exactly. It's a hassle. So, you know, we just want to advise farmers to, you know, pay attention, listen to the bulletins, right, and take action, right, beforehand.
Yeah, also...
And a good point, we'll come back to that, Quentin, because we are due for our break at this point. Okay. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon.
Banana farmers, remember me? I destroyed the Gros Michel banana variety some years ago. Now, my cousin, Tropical Race 4 or TR4, a Fusarium wilt banana disease, is on the horizon in a more aggressive form and can wipe out the banana industry in a flash. Be vigilant. Don't bring any banana plants or plant tissue into the island. Report any unusual symptoms on your banana plots to the Department of Agriculture at telephone 468-5600 or the extension officer in your area. Remember, protect our vital banana industry.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Of course, we are talking, preparations for disaster, hurricanes, and of course, as I said, the hurricane season starts in June, so we need to alert the farmers, just to remind them. They know what to do, but it's our duty to remind them. Kwesi, there is an issue I don't know how to. It bothers me. I'll tell you why. For example, during some disaster they had maybe a few years ago, there was a farmer with a poultry pen, right, next to a river, okay? That damaged his pen, okay? He went back and he reconstructed, he got monies from the government, of course they were giving monies to recovery. He went back and he built in the same place, and the same thing happened. So guide me. I mean, what do you do in a case like this? I mean, would you advise the farmer, hey, look, this is not a place you should construct a pen, and from the onset, in other words, it should not have happened in the first place.
Right.
Quint?
Yeah, Mr. Sidney, we have a situation in St. Lucia where anybody becomes a farmer overnight.
Right.
Okay? So somebody decides to go into pig production, and without proper consultation, they just go ahead and get started. Most times we are informed when there is a problem, which is when it's too late.
Right.
All right? The way it should be done, if you need to construct a pig pen, a fowl coop, or any agricultural activity, the first thing you do, you get in touch with your extension officer. And according to the activity you intend to get into, your extension officer will guide you further. Some of the things that the extension officers know for themselves, they would just go ahead and tell you straight off the bat. Some others, they would have to seek assistance. Now, when they seek our assistance, we would come in and give you a farm analysis, tell you where is the best place to put what accordingly. Right? But sadly, very often, when we come on site, work has already started, work is already finished. We usually come when there is a problem. Right?
That's true.
Secondly, we do not have the authority to stop the farmer. We are just the engineering unit.
Okay.
The authority to stop the farmer comes from another department, another ministry, put it like that. It doesn't even come from the Ministry of Agriculture. So our hands are tied behind our backs. There is nothing we could do to stop the farmer. Most times the farmer is the owner of the property.
Correct.
And there is very little control we have over what the farmer does.
Okay, so that happens, okay? His pen gets damaged, okay? He fits in the program, the officer,
He
extension
qualifies
officer goes there for compensation,
Yeah.
Right.
okay? He goes back and he builds the pen in the exact spot.
It shouldn't happen.
And it happens again. Should there be something saying, hey, you cannot get compensated?
Okay, it's who approves the structure.
Okay.
I would think that's Ministry of Planning.
All right.
This is out of the hands of agriculture. It's a structure that's being built.
All right.
What we would do, we would provide with the guidelines as to how the structure should be built, right? But the Ministry of Planning are the ones who approve.
All right.
And also, we will also give them our input as to is it appropriate, the location.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the most important
Right. That's the
thing.
most important. So we would tell them that, okay, this is the structure. Yes, the farmer wants it here. Yes, but we did a preliminary site visit, and we have decided that, okay, maybe the farmer can build the structure somewhere else, which is safer, and we can approve. Or if there is no alternative location, we will tell them straight, whoever it is, the funding agency or be it the planning, we will tell them that we advise the farmer that that's not an appropriate place to rebuild the structure, so we cannot, so we will have it documented that we are against it and he cannot build it there. Now, like Quinn say, at the end of the day, the buck does not stop at us.
Yeah. You made up an important point there in terms of the lending institution, who would facilitate the farmer to get a loan to go, which is fine, but then it's not the right location. So when something that happens now, he is impeded because he cannot pay his loan because everything is gone.
Exactly.
So that is a serious matter.
Well, you have to watch it. You have to also look. Okay, the farmer experienced that in the beginning. He went in. He ended up running into this problem, right? in this situation you speak in there, it's almost like he has no other place that's
Right.
appropriate
Yes.
for that. He doesn't own no other land. That's the only land. That's his only way of making a livelihood. Like Joel was saying, that we come in, we try to do an assessment of the area, assessment of where the water goes, assessment of where what happens where.
Right.
If there's a possibility of building some kind of modification of the structure
Right.
to help it to the major
withstand.
storm, because normally sometimes when we look at these things, we like to look at, when we have to do this kind of analysis, we look at rainfall over time, a major storm event, how much rain does it bring, you know, the possibility of landslide, runoff, destruction to property. So if you can factor in that, and there's a possibility, if there's not a possibility, there's not much we can do.
Okay.
You understand? The farmer would sometimes go ahead and do the same thing. The only other thing is that if he can go into something else, because you find for farmers, egg production and poultry production is one of the enterprises that demands less in terms of human resource and all that. It's very easy for them to go into that once you have the momentum.
Right.
So there must be, this is a nice discussion that could probably go deeper. What would the farmer do in that case?
Right.
But from our standpoint, looking at an assessment and realizing, hey, you know what? Every time rain it falls, that you have too much water, we could try and organize some things on the contours, look at the topography, try and accommodate for the runoff somehow, try and accommodate for the drainage somehow. And I think that should be done before a learning institution
Yes.
certified.
That's a good segue into another service we provide, biogas, solar.
Yeah. The farmers, they into pig production mainly for money,
Right.
right? They're not all that concerned about the environment or the effects of their production. From the Ministry of Agriculture standpoint, we have realized that a lot of pig pens are constructed close to waterways.
True.
Because pigs, you need a lot of water to clean and to keep the pig pen tidy. So the runoff from the pig pens with all the contamination from the pig mess ends up in the river.
Right.
Right? So as an intervention, we try to construct biogas digesters. We have resorted to being able to construct them out of totally local material. We don't need to import anything in order for us to construct a biogas digester. So that's just one of the interventions that we have been trying to push. But, you know, then again, it's not compulsory,
Okay.
right? If we are able to convince the farmer, we get it done. But it's the farmer who still has to buy the local materials to get it done. So it's not compulsory. That's out of our hand. Yeah.
So you're saying that intervention, which is a technology that appropriates
Yeah, appropriate
for the
technology.
environment. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that, for example, okay, he goes to SLDB for a loan to go into swine production, and can that not be a criteria for him getting the loan?
Yeah, but part of the construction of the pig pen, it might require a septic tank.
Right.
Right, but even the septic tank overflow, because most of them are so close to the river that there is no space for all of that. So even the septic tank overflow goes into the river. The water is not properly treated and get rid of all the bacteria before you could drop it back into the river. Now there are many advantages to the biogas digester versus the septic tank.
Right.
The biogas digester, the main thing is that it provides cooking gas, right? Secondly, it provides compost, pit moss, which is manure.
Right.
And thirdly, we're still trying to see how we could turn the liquid manure into a liquid, waste, into liquid fertilizer, because it is loaded with nutrients.
True.
By then it has no more bacteria, but it has a lot of nutrients.
So that, again, by so doing, there's no runoff in the river or stream nearby, hopefully, yes.
If you add value to the waste,
Yes.
the farmer will no longer allow the waste to go down the drain.
Exactly.
Right? But talking about drain, talking about drain is a little diversion.
Yes,
because we're on the hurricane season.
I was just about going there.
sorry.
Yeah.
And drainage is one of the most important aspects.
Very important.
Okay? Drainage is a national issue. Yet still, it passes through individual people's property. So sometimes the drain is controlled by an individual person.
Right.
All right? we divert drains, right, to send the water where we want it to go. That should not happen. Drainage is one of the most serious issues when it comes to natural disasters. Our drains are usually blocked, and very often they're not designed properly. Right? So drainage is not something you could run and do when you get a warning. Drainage is something you have to do it in advance. You cannot, you could remove the plastic if you get a notice, a warning.
Yeah.
You cannot go clean acres of drains if you get a warning. So the drainage is something that we have to maintain. Right? You do not just do it simply because it's the rainy season.
Yes.
It needs to be maintained throughout.
Yes.
Because you can get a flash flood at any time. And it's flooding that's our biggest disaster.
And funny enough, drains are the things that are least scared about, really. Because like my colleague is saying, it's a national issue. It's like you go to an individual farmer and he's only concerned with the size of his beds, the little 50-centimeter drains in between. But the drainage network that connects his farm to other farms and the whole watershed is ignored. And you see, if they have a problem at any one point here, you'll have a problem in the whole. Because, for example, I mean, if you have to really look at some of these valleys where we normally have floods in the valleys, you realize oftentimes we have salt water intrusion. Oftentimes we have a lot of problems with excess water, right? And at the same time, in these same areas, there's a possibility of managing this water very well. But the individual farmers to come together in groups, that is very challenging. It's always like if we come in, we have an idea, we have a big project that comes in and say, hey, we're going to look at the drainage intervention
in that particular area.
Yes. But after that project is done, you know, I don't know if it is we don't have enough influential power, or is not the farmers not seeing when they do a drain, they not get $1. You know, maybe if a contractor comes to get $1, you know, but the thing is, this is not factored into a national movement.
I agree.
Because, for example, we have a big opportunity in this drier period to clean
our drains, yes.
To establish
we see it happening at the main drains have been done, but the lateral drains are not taken care of.
The reason we say drainage is a national issue, because usually a drain will cross more than one boundary or more than one property. So even if you do your section,
and the other person is not doing anything.
Exactly. So you know it has to be looked at on a national level. It's not a matter of you just clean your piece of the drain. It's a network.
It's a network.
It's a network.
It's a national thing, and people have to take pride in it too. You know, I mean, I have noticed places where, for example, that farmer or that person living in a particular area will clean his or her drain. But then when it gets to you leave it alone and goes onto the road and it damages the road. I mean, if we all play our part,
there are different,
it could work, you know?
There are different kinds of drain cleaning.
Yeah.
Because I would like to say something that a lot of people might not really appreciate. The way we go about cleaning our rivers, it's wrong. All right? Because we cause more destruction than good. So even in cleaning drains, you need to be careful. When we talk about cleaning drains, usually we talk about removing debris.
Yes.
Okay, and maybe some grass cutting, but it is important that you allow the grass to grow to protect the drains.
Sides of the drain.
So when we say cleaning drains, people need to understand what type of cleaning we are talking about. Even when we clean our rivers, we actually clean the river banks, which increases erosion. So we have a good intention, but we're doing it the wrong way.
Gentlemen, we have come to the end of the program, you know.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. We'll have a part two, right? Part two.
For sure.
I want to thank you, Quincy, for being here. Thank you, Joel, and thank you, Quinn, for being here.
No
I'm
problem.
hoping that you will continue to do the good work and to, again, enlighten the farmer as to what to do. But it's not the coming to the end and saying, okay, we're going to be doing that now. But the preparatory stages, when it's going to be established, they need to know to do it well.
And in the design
stage.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. I'd like to thank you for viewing the program. And remember, agriculture is our business. Eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. I'm Philip Sidney. Goodbye.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole among ma.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole among ma.